Welcome to the Kingdom, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics and the land defended by Sir Ross's Knights. Now here's your host, Rocco Jeppy.
Hello again, Knights Nation, and welcome to the Kingdom Podcast. I'm your host, Rocco Jeppy, joined by Aaron Thomas. Aaron, thanks for coming back and being with us for episode number 20.
Episode number 20, man. Time is just flying by.
It is. A lot has happened in the world of women's basketball over the last week, and we'll have some recaps here. And to help us recap the Knights' last two games, please welcome in studio with us today head coach Mike Seney. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you back on the show. We haven't had you since the opening preview. A lot has happened. So first of all, thanks for being here. And second, congrats. You continue to climb number 9 in the rankings this week, up from 10 the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think the most exciting thing is we're actually getting noticed by people in the country. So, in our first month and a half of our program, and we're already a top 10 team in the country. I think that's pretty exciting.
That's not bad. Not considering it's an upstart after 15 years of no basketball. We'll take that any day. Well, we're going to recap your last two games against Potomac State and Beaver County. Potomac took that game 100-71, and now 2-0 in Region 20 Division II play. Probably started a little bit closer than you wanted. It was 43-38 at halftime. What did you and the coaches tell the team at halftime that enabled you guys to pull away in the second half?
Our shots weren't really going in, but it's a mindset on defense that we're severely lacking right now. That the coaches and myself were really trying to get our girls to focus in on that side of the basketball, because even with an awful night shooting the ball and shooting both these games, we still at 43 points at half. You're pretty okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
The 38 points at halftime, though, by the other team who only scored 56 the night before, is what we really weren't happy with. So, we really went into the half and tried to hone in on defense and fix some things that we thought were lacking.
Do you feel like the team made that adjustment at halftime? Because on the scoreboard, it certainly looked like like you guys did, because you outscored them by 24 in the second half, and a couple big defensive plays right out of the gate.
I think our pressure in the full court kind of turned up. Still half court, we're still missing some things that we really need to fix coming into like the meat and potatoes of our schedule here. But yes, I really feel like the pressure turned up for us, and it helped us carry it over as well to the next game.
One of the things you got to be happy about, I know I talked with you after the game about this, is the continued progress of Maya Moy. She had 27 points, 10 in each of the second and fourth quarters. She also finished with 7 boards, 6 assists, and 3 steals. So real stat stuffer kind of game for her.
Yeah, Maya Moy is one of the best players in the country in all of JUCO. She, what she can do offensively is hard pressed to find another guard as talented as she is. Defensively, it's still a work in progress for her, but what she can do offensively, I'm a fan watching her.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And another person I think that has been coming along, and we saw in this game, showed up big with 15 points on 5 of 6 shooting, 4 boards, 3 steals. I joke on this show that I am not a basketball aficionado, but I kind of call these types of student athletes plug and play, in the sense that you could start her or bring her off the bench, and that's Kobe Scott Pearson. Talk about her contributions and your plans with her on this team.
Kobe, I would say, is our most improved player from the time preseason started in September to now. How much she's grown, just learning the game. She came in a little raw, and what she's doing right now for us is amazing. Not only is she scoring the ball a lot better, she's the first line. And she's and on our press, she's at the top of it. So she's huge for us in every aspect, offensively and defensively.
I want to throw some numbers at you from that first game and just get a quick reaction from you on what these numbers mean to you as you and the coaching staff here in that game against Potomac State. 40-2 in points off turnovers. You gotta like that stat, right?
Yeah, we turned the pressure up and we were able to get steals and layups, or we were able to turn them over. But honestly, Aaron, the the best thing I thought about this weekend was we didn't turn the ball over much at all. We really get into that unforced turnover game that I hate so much, because you're not able to get a shot up if you turn the ball over. And I really was impressed by the way we took care of the basketball. Casey Gagan leads us in turnovers this weekend. She had 15 assists, only 1 turnover in both games. So the fact that she was able to, and she's our leader, with the ball most of the time. So the fact that she was able to kind of keep her turnovers down, our team was able to keep our turnovers down, and we were able to get much more shots.
I think that's a great point you make, a coaching point that you make there, because us as fans, I think we're normally going to see that stat and immediately look to the points as opposed to looking at the points given up. And 40-2, that's a great stat line in that game.
It was a cool little moment after the game. I saw Coach Reek and Casey, and Coach's first question to the stat table was, how many turnovers did she have? And she didn't have any turnovers in that first game, which was amazing. And the downside, of course, was she fouled out of the game. But obviously, at that point, you guys were well in control of the game. Yeah,
well, she hasn't been shooting the ball well. But the fact that she's able to play in 2 games, and she's usually right around the top in minutes as well. I think in that first game against Potomac State, she played almost 30 minutes or what have you. And whatever it was, she had 0 turnovers to 9 assists. I mean, that's an impeccable game by your point guard if she's not going to turn the ball over. So, Coach Reek is her position coach, and that's something that they go over every single day, trying to bring that turnover count down.
And she seems like, even though she has been shooting the ball, not so well lately, it's just her intensity and her leadership that as long as that is on the court, you guys are fine.
Casey is our heart and soul out there. Our defensive leader. Our floor general, even if she's not shooting the ball well, she gets us in our stuff. So, I can't be happier with a kid like that.
One of the stat in that Potomac State game that you got to be happy about, that the fans notice, of course, as well, is 44 to 16 points in the paint. You really outscored the team in the painted area in that game, and that had to be a huge bonus because like you said, the team wasn't shooting the ball from the outside that well in that game.
Most definitely. I'm a 3 and a layup guy. I hate to want to get threes or layups, and when our 3-point shot wasn't great against Potomac State, it was okay. It was a little bit less than okay, but we were able to find ways to get to the basket, get to the free throw line. So the fact that I didn't even know that stat. The fact that we were able to get 44 points in the paint is probably the reason why we were able to extend our lead a little bit.
Yeah, it certainly goes a long way.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we have to get to our first break. When we return, we're going to recap the game against the other CCBC. No, not that one. I'm Rocco Jeppe alongside Aaron Thomas, and we're joined today by head women's basketball coach Mike Seney. Stick around for more. You're listening to the Kingdom Podcast, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics. Mindful You Yoga Studio, located at 1705 Poplar Place in historic Dundalk, Maryland, is the ideal place to go for one of the best mindful experiences in Baltimore County. Entering its 2nd year and recently awarded a citation by Baltimore County Executive John Olszewski Jr. for its commitment to community, Mindful You Yoga Studio offers a wide variety of yoga from vinyasa flow to mindful movement, gentle flow to chair yoga, and everything in between. Mindful You has your well-being in mind, offering Thai body work, reflexology, health coaching, herbalism, energy work, and other wellness services. They also have affordable pricing and plenty of package options. Gift certificates are now available, the perfect way to show that special someone just how much you care. To learn more, visit mindfulyouyoga.com, follow them on Facebook, or call 410-935-2690. Mindful You Yoga Studio, where your attention goes, energy flows. Bring your attention inward to watch the magic unfold.
Let's talk about college. Times have changed, and I say no to an education at the cost of crippling debt. Because paying off student loans for the next 30 years is not in my financial plans.
Rethink what's possible with CCBC. Visit us online and see what you can be.
All right, we are back. Rocco Jeppe and Aaron Thomas, joined by head women's basketball coach Mike Seney. And now we turn our attention to the Community College of Beaver County. And Coach, by the standards of this team, I would say, another slow start. You guys led 20-12 after the first quarter. Left a lot of easy, somebody that doesn't play basketball, a lot of easy points out there. What was the message to your team on how to attack the remaining 3 quarters of this game?
Zone, when we see zone to start the game, we really, for some reason, just don't attack it well. If our shots aren't falling early, it's going to be a slow, sluggish start, just because I feel like we're still learning how to, attack the zone. I think Beaver did a really good job of coming out and trying to slow us down with that. And, I think it just took us a little bit kind of, adjusting to it.
Yeah.
But like what I try to tell the girls is, if we can get to 20 to 25 points a quarter, even on a bad quarter, you'll live with that. You know what I mean? Because that was a tough quarter, and we still scored 20 points, and still our defensive side was a little bit lagging. But I really feel like with our speed and our tempo, if we can get to 20, 25 points a quarter, doesn't matter how bad or good we're shooting, teams aren't really going to be able to keep up with that pace. So. If we can continue to, score the ball like we know we can, it doesn't matter, how bad we shoot it. And I think this game was indicative of that.
How do you think that you guys struggled with the zone earlier on? Because that's not something that is unique to you guys. That is something that is kind of universal in a lot of college basketball in multiple levels, where you see teams struggle against the zone. You don't see as much zone in the professional game, and maybe that's because players are used to playing with one another year after year. Do you think that's a continuity thing, or do you think it's just early on in the season?
Well, zone is predicated to put you on your heels and stop. You know what I mean? Just make you stop and think about what you're about to do. Whereas a man-to-man lets you, allows you to get downhill and allows you to move. I think zone is it's needed especially for a team like us, to make us kind of think and relax and figure out what we're going to do, because we want to shoot the ball and with 20 seconds left on the shot clock. So I think in all aspects, whatever level you're playing the game at, zone makes you think for a second. It makes you slow down and figure out what you're going to do. It makes you run a zone play. It makes you do this or do that. So, I think as soon as we get up and down a little bit and make them, allow them not to set up their zone, that's that makes it difficult on teams.
And I think you guys did that because you turned it around pretty quickly. The team shot 35% in the first quarter, 42% in the second quarter, and it seemed like you guys are moving the ball around a little bit. You think that was the way that you guys busted through the zone, just that extra pass?
Well, getting up and down, like I said, not letting them set it up. If we can shoot 42 to 45% in any quarter, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to keep that up with us. You know what I mean? Because a lot of teams aren't used to playing that fast and that quick. So even if they score a little bit, some teams are going to score a little bit. Like Mike D'Antoni always says, you're going to give up some layups. You're going to give up some buckets because that's a part of the system. But, they're not going to score as much as you do.
So, I wonder what at the end of the year, because, obviously if things go to plan, we're going to have Coach back for more episodes. But what do you think we should set the over-under on how many times we hear the name Mike D'Antoni when we have him in the studio?
At least 5.
I'll tell you, the girls know who he is, and they probably don't know who he is. That guy, he's an offensive genius, man. Like it's just like last night, his team, they lost to the Kings, and they scored 118 points, and they lost by one, but they only shot 36% from the field. So if they just make 40%, which is not great, just make 40%, you win the game. And the offense it helps you be in every single game.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So if you give yourself the chance to be in every single game, your talent will help you win games in the end.
So you guys go into halftime of this game up 49-22, and I haven't known you, on an everyday basis very long. I mean, I've known you for years now, but if I know you and your staff well enough, you guys weren't satisfied with that margin at all. What did you talk about going into the break?
Well, what we weren't satisfied with is we were again allowing an opposing team's player to have a career night on us. Island Bradley, the kid from Beaver County, who, mind you, she's a remarkable player. She's their leading scorer. She's their best player. But we have been preaching, stop giving up career nights. Stop giving up. We gave one up against Potomac State. We gave one up against Howard. Like we were just tired of giving up career nights. And then again, you look at the halftime stat sheet, and mind you, this kid she can play, but she had 14.8 rebounds at the half. So something that we've been preaching and is still not really quite sinking in.
Yeah. Do you feel? And again, this is you're the basketball expert in the room. Do you feel the team gives the other teams good players too much? I don't want to say too much respect. They give them too much room. They're out there on those. You don't see in this league too often a lot of 15, 20-foot jump shots, and we seem like we say to them, okay, I'm going to let you take that jump shot, and Island was okay hitting that jump shot over the weekend.
As Coach Art would say, we play defense just to get the ball back on offense. We don't play defense to stop anybody, and that's something that I'm, like I said, we've been focusing on day in day out. I just really don't want it to burn us anytime soon, because you can't just play defense just to get the ball back. You have to play defense to stop people, and I think you're right. Most times, girls are a little bit comfortable with doing whatever they want to do, and that's just not good. And we kind of turn a light switch on when we want to play. So, that's something that we're working on every single day, tirelessly.
You talk about that defensive unit. A big part of that defensive unit moving forward is going to be at Aislinn Flynn down low. In this game, she finished with a solid double-double, 15 points, 14 rebounds. Also had 3 steals and 6 blocks to go along with that. And it's kind of scary to think, even though I just read that stat line, don't think we've seen the best basketball from her so far this year. How close do you think she is to reaching that potential?
To say I was proud of Ace is an understatement. She was so aggressive in that game. She took 18 shots. I was so proud. Because Ace is a little bit reserved. I mean, you guys know her a little bit. She's a little bit reserved. Doesn't really like to come out of her shell much. And, she was so active in that game. Even when she didn't make, as many shots as she wanted to, she was just so active and so aggressive. And we need that Ace, you know what I mean? And she didn't foul. She played defense the right way for once. That's why she was able to play 30 minutes. And I told her that, if you just play defense the right way, you can play 30 minutes. You can get the numbers you want to get. She was just so aggressive. I was so proud of her.
I wanted to piggyback on something that you said there, playing defense the right way. It seemed like she was hitting the glass the right way, too, because early on in that first half, I noticed that she was hitting the boards, she was getting the offensive glass, and she was kind of fading away with the shot. And I saw you on the sideline say, hey, the basket's right there. Why are you fading away from the basket? And then after that, I don't think I saw her do that again. So obviously a very coachable player and, learning from the coach on the sideline. And I just wanted one more question about Flynn. How much do you preach to her and the rest of the coaching staff? When you get that ball and you've got it laying in front of you, take it and go. Because we've seen her do that a lot here in the early part of this season.
Well, we're like I said, and you know this, we're a fast break team. We preach you in the rim. And what I mean by that is you have the basketball and there's no one there but the rim. So, she really takes that in stride. And they all do. Casey Gagan does a really good job of it as well, putting her head down and getting to the rim. So, it's a racetrack to the rim. You know what I mean? So, that's what we preach every single day.
I think for me, another one of those plug and play caliber student athletes on this team, Kendall Haggerty. She had a great game. 15 points on 5 of 7 shooting. She goes 4 of 6 behind the arc, and
she needed it too.
We are yet. I don't know if anybody out there that's listening, has any connections at SportsCenter, but I've seen some top 10 stuff on SportsCenter that doesn't belong there. And this year in the Kingdom, we've had at least 3 things that should be up there, and hers was one of them. That acrobatic ballerina-esque shot to force and get the 3-point play. Talk about her, the freshman from Urbana High School in Frederick. She, as you just kind of alluded to. She seems to be progressing really well.
It's tough, man. I think I told Aaron the other day, how deep this roster is. Kendall, as we call her, she really needed this weekend. She really played well against Potomac State as well. I think she had 3 threes in limited minutes. Then she came back, against Beaver and really played well. Was second on the team in scoring or tied for first. She just needed this weekend just to kind of get out of that freshman slump she's been in. The speed of the game, I think she really has struggled with, and she's finding her groove at the right time. If she can continue to play the right way, and she's also like one of our best underrated defenders as well. She works her tail off. We were watching film last night as a group, and you just see her boxing out. You see her seeking contact.
She was the first to get on the floor once on a loose ball as well.
Yeah, she's the Energizer Bunny out there, and I struggle sometimes. And I tell her, I say, Ken, the same way you're struggling, with finding the speed of the game, I'm struggling with rotations at times, just because we have so much. And I was really, it was a pleasure to see her do her thing this weekend.
It's kind of weird for me to ask this, but it's just a little bit of what I observed over the weekend. So I'll preface it by saying, you tell me, is this the caliber of the opponent, or is this, am I really seeing what my eyes are showing me? She seems like she has this sneakiness to her game. Like, people forget about, and she's 5'9", 5'10", but people forget that she's on the court.
Yeah.
What is that about?
I don't know. Ken is Ken's a character. I'll say that Ken's a character. But what I love so much about Ken is she doesn't complain. She's always first or second in running. She's a great athlete all around. We're really excited to have her in our group.
And she's obviously got a lot of confidence as well, because I spoke to her after the game and I asked her about the and one play, and I said, "Is that something that kind of just happened?" And she said, "No, I did that in high school." So it's she's like, "Hey, I've been around the block a few times."
No, Ken was a great player. She was a 1,000-point scorer in high school. We were really lucky to get her when we got her. It's like I said, man. Like this team's depth is second to none. And I've coached some really good teams. The depth we have with this team is amazing.
Well, we were talking about the depth there. Let's talk about some of the sophomores from that game. Casey Gig and Maya Moy scored 12 points each. They also each had 6 assists, leading the team in assists versus Beaver was freshman Amaya Holmes, though. What kind of luxury is that for a coaching staff? You get so many players that can share the rock and know how to play the game the right way. I'm sure with your 7 seconds or less offense, that's got to be a huge luxury.
Like you said, our 2 sophomore leaders had 6 assists each, and the freshman off the bench led the team with 7. It's tough, man. It's going to be tough to beat us when we are all contributing. And like you know this, Aaron, is when you're pushing the ball and people are getting open shots, the assists are going to pile up. And we like to be around that 17 to 20 assist range per night. And I think we've hit that for the most part in each and every game.
In this game against Beaver, 10 student athletes with double-digit minutes played. We've talked a few times today so far about the depth of this team. So my question to you is, how does this make coaching easier, but how does it also make it more difficult?
It's the toughest year I've been a part of. It's tough because, you have a legit 10 to 11 girls who deserve minutes. We have a group of 5. Our second 5 could start on any other team in the league. And what we try to do as a coaching staff is we want them just to buy in to being a part of the best circle. And we really believe that. We really believe we have the best circle out there, and when your number is called, perform, and I think that they're buying into that.
All right, well, folks, that is how your Knights did this past week. 2 convincing wins. It leads to a 1-spot jump in the NJCAA Division II poll. They're at number 9. We're going to hit another break, and when we return, Aaron and I will talk to Coach about the upcoming schedule, which is full of tests this week. You're listening to the Kingdom Podcast, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics. Jersey Mike's is a proud sponsor of CCBC Essex Athletics. Located just 2.5 miles off campus at 7976 Honeygo Boulevard in White Marsh Plaza, Jersey Mike's offers a wide variety of cold and hot subs, sides, beverages, and desserts. CCBC faculty, staff, and students receive 5% off with college ID. Visit today or call 410-237-8137. Jersey Mike's, a sub above since 1958.
Let's talk about college. Times have changed, and I refuse to accept an education that comes with a mountain of crippling debt. Because paying off student loans for the next 30 years is not in my financial plans.
For all the practical thinkers, the achievers, the can't wait to get started types out there, your community college is waiting. Rethink what's possible with CCBC. Visit us online at CCBCMD.edu and see what you can be.
All right, we are back. It's Rocco Jeppy here alongside Aaron Thomas, and we're joined today by head women's basketball coach Mike Seney, and talking about the upcoming schedule this Thursday at the APG Federal Credit Union Arena in Bel Air, Maryland. The Knights take on Hartford Community College. The Fighting Owls are 7-0, receiving votes in the National Division I poll. And, of course, the backstory, Mike Seney returns to Hartford. This time he's wearing the navy and gold. Coach, how is the team approaching the game, and how are you approaching the game?
I think we're approaching it the same way. Greg Wickup set the schedule up for us to really show what we have early on in the season, and we've had a few of these games thus far where they're statement games. We were able to kind of focus on us yesterday and this weekend, and get some shots up and watch film of both games, and Today we'll focus on our next opponent like we always do
Mm-hmm.
2 days before a game. We're focusing on Hartford and focusing on what we can do to get up there and get a win.
You mentioned in the preview earlier this season that you were certain there's going to be some emotion in this game for you. Do you think that level of emotion is going to be the same, or do you think when you were out there scouting earlier this year, were some of that emotion kind of lifted and taken care of then?
Of course, it's a little weird, but it's only weird for the pregame stuff before the moment. I think when the game starts and all the outside stuff kind of moves on, and you're coaching the game, you're just trying to win the game just like you always do. I've had it's funny. I had someone just yesterday say, are you ready for Thursday? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh man, it's a big game, and mind you, this is somebody that's not really tied to the JUCO world. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like Thursday night football? Like I didn't know what he meant. And I was so serious. He was like, bro, aren't you going back to Hartford this week? And I'm like, wow, I totally forgot. Just because like we're treating it like any other game.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to just stay focused on trying to get out there and get another win. That's really what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to do that. And I think, given some of the things, speaking of Thursday night football that are going on around us, we hear every week, we hear Coach Harbaugh say the same thing. You hear, just tune into NFL Network, you'll hear all the coaches say that. And I think there's some part of us as the fans that say, okay, that's coach speak. But when you work with coaches on a daily basis, like I do, like we do around here, you come to realize that is actually a part of the mindset that goes into being a coach.
Most definitely. I'm to say I'm excited is it's an understatement. I'm really excited for this game. But I'm more so excited, just like I said, just to make another statement.
Yeah.
This is a good team we're going up against. And I'm big on making statements, man, and letting it be known. We have the best circle around. So that's when I'm ready for the girls to get out there and kind of prove that.
Your mental state and your mentality go a long way in you being successful in anything in life, and it certainly seems like you and the team have the right mentality and mental state headed into this big game. You're 1 year removed from being the head coach there, so you're still pretty familiar with, I'm sure, some of the players on the team and the coaching staff. What do you think in particular this Hartford team could bring to this game that could be difficult for your team?
They're very long and athletic. Their guard play is really solid. They have a good coaching staff over there with Coach Collins and Coach Nichols. They're good straight up and down. They're a good ball club. So. Offensively and defensively, it's a game that you really have to come in and play the right way to get a win, especially on the road. College road games are tough, and you have to come out there and be disciplined and get a good win. And I'm sure it's going to be a really good environment where they moved it to the 7 p.m. game. The men are playing before us, so I think they're really excited for us to come up there as well.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's funny because we were talking about this coming over to the studio in that for you it's another game. It seems like for them this is like the halfway point championship or something, like back in the old days when they would have halfway champions, or actually they still do it in some minor leagues where you have the first half champion and the second half champion. And this seems like to put it in other terms around here from another good coach here. When we play Frederick and they come here, it's like that's their Super Bowl on the soccer field. And when they beat us a couple of years ago, they celebrated like they had just won a national championship. And this has kind of the same feel to it. I feel like we're going to head up there on Thursday and we're going to come into something where it's going to feel like a Big Ten, ACC, type of atmosphere if they have it their way.
Well, like I tell the girls this all the time. We have the biggest target on our back, and it's because, we're one of the best teams in the country, and I think that's a good thing, man. Like, I really feel like, when you get everyone's best shot, it makes you perform better. It makes you perform at a higher level. So I'm excited, man. I really am. I'm excited about Thursday. I'm excited about this weekend. It's a good time.
It's awesome. Now, this is also a big Maryland JUCO conference game. Explain why, even though the road to the postseason goes through the region and there's no longer a Maryland JUCO tournament, explain why winning the conference is so important to you.
Rocco, honestly, winning every game is really important to me. I get headaches when we lose. I really put a lot into every single game, man. Like I was telling somebody yesterday, like the same guy, I was like, man, we put so much into every single night. It doesn't matter if it's a Maryland JUCO game or any type of game, man. We want to win. We want to win, and we want to be convincing. We want to make sure, like I said, that statement word. We want to make sure that we're making one every single game. So, yeah, it's good to be the best team in the league year in and year out, and I've been fortunate enough to have some success in the league. But every single game, we want the opposing team to say, man, that team was really good.
I think you have a lot of opportunities to make statements here because there's no rest. Because after this Hartford game, the team's going to hit the road for the Niagara County Thunderwolves Classic on Saturday and Sunday. And lucky you, Essex gets the number 8 Division II ranked Niagara County on day 1. So that should be a great game and a great opportunity to make a statement.
We're going to play Hartford at 7 o'clock on Thursday. We'll probably leave there around 9 or 9:30. And we're leaving at 6 a.m. on Friday to go play the number 8 team in the country on Saturday. So I'm excited, man. It's such a good time right now.
Basketball season.
Yeah, you're supposed to go through these type of challenges and through these type of tests. This is why you build your team in April and May and June and what have you, to fight against these really good schools. Hartford's a really good team. Niagara's a really good team. So, to have them on back to back, yeah, let's get it. I think that's how the girls are feeling too. Yesterday in film, like when we broke it down, like everybody's like, man, this is the biggest week of our season right here. Let's go make a statement. That's what it's about. So, we're excited.
Sunday you take on Sunday you take on Division III squad out of Region 3, Genesee. How different are they from your Saturday opponent?
Well, we haven't done the scout yet for Genesee just quite yet, just because we've been putting, our scouting stuff into Hartford and Niagara coming up. But any time you're playing away from home, and in the Kingdom, it's always going to be a tougher test. So, like I said before, we go into every game trying to make a statement. So I'm sure that game's not going to be any different.
All right, Knights Nation, your team currently 10-1 overall, ranked number 9 in the nation, with some big tests coming up. At this point in the season, I don't think you could ask for much more. Coach, I'm going to ask you to just stick around with us. We got one more commercial break, and then we're going to hit the closing portion of our show. We appreciate you being here, and thank you for your time. But one more segment to go, folks. You're listening to the Kingdom Podcast, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics. CCBC Essex Athletics would like to thank Chick-fil-A Nottingham Square, the official concession sponsor of Knights women's basketball. Find them in the lobby at home Knights basketball games or just 10 minutes off campus at 5198 Campbell Boulevard in Nottingham, Maryland. You can also follow them on Twitter at CFA Nottingham SQ.
Times have changed. No longer will I stay stuck in a job because college has no time for me. I have a life. And kids. I will not let a limited schedule limit me. My kids will see hard work pays off.
For all the practical thinkers, the achievers, the can't wait to get started types out there, your community college is waiting. Rethink what's possible with CCBC. Visit us online at CCBCMD.edu and see what you can be.
We are back. The final segment of our show here, the Kingdom Podcast. And we appreciate you sticking around with us. It's Rocco Jeppe here with Aaron Thomas and head coach Mike Seney of your Knights women's basketball team. And Aaron, I'm going to ask you this. I was originally gonna ask you with Coach out of the studio, so we're gonna kind of put each other on the spot here. What have you seen through these first 11 games so far that sticks with you?
I'm going to have to go politician here and give you a two-part answer. First and foremost, it's the dogs on the court. They've got some players that are willing to get after it and jump the passing lanes and get after it in the transition game as well, and are not afraid to shying away from the contact. They take it right into the rim, and it may not be an easy layup, but they know that they're going to be fouled in the process, and that's just as good as a made basket a lot of times. The other thing is, it's one thing for Coach Mike to preach 7 seconds or less. It's one thing for him to say, I'm a big Mike D'Antoni fan. It's another thing entirely for the players on the team to buy into that. I think there's a lot of teams that want to shoot a lot of threes, and There's some players that they just, when they're not falling, they don't want to shoot them. And it's like, well, in this offense, you have to shoot those threes. And that is the fact that so many players are willing to buy into that system, I think, is an example of good coaching.
To your point, I don't know if you heard us talking about it after the game, but on Sunday against Beaver, they put up 51 three-pointers, which I was told is a Mike Seney coach team record for three-pointers. And I think the day before, I meant to write it down and I didn't because, I'm ill-prepared on that. But I think the day before it was like almost 47 as well. Yeah, so in 2 days, almost 100 three-point attempts. That's a good month for some teams.
It warms me up, man.
Yeah, and you see it. I'm a huge NBA fan, just like Coach Mike is here. And you see there's a lot of teams that preach three-pointers, three-pointers, three-pointers. But they're not getting up those three-pointers, and it's a difference when it's one thing to have a plan and it's another thing entirely to act on that plan. And when you can act on that plan, it shows discipline and it shows that you guys are on the same page. And when a group of individuals get on the same page and they're willing to put in the work, tremendous things can happen.
Yeah, I think what sticks with me, and we talked about this earlier in some of our questions, are the scary parts, right? Like, the team is 10-1. We're ranked number 9 in the country, and we probably haven't even begun to scratch the surface. Like, we have that Maryland lottery scratcher in front of us. It's a bingo scratcher, and we haven't even made it to the letter I yet. Okay. I'm really excited to see what's in store for some of our student athletes like Aislinn Flynn. We talked about her earlier. She had a really good game against Beaver, and hopefully that will propel her against Hartford to continue. I think, Maya Moy has played well, and the scary part is I don't think we've seen the best of her yet. I know we haven't seen the best of Casey. We have a dangerous rotation that, we probably have. There's probably, of our bench, more than 70% of our bench can come out and score in double digits at any time. And I'm glad that I work at CCBC Essex because I get to follow this team and be on the side of all this scariness because it truly is a nightmare on Rossville. It really is. And it is scary to think that this team could get better as good as they are right now.
Yeah, and that is really scary to think about because I remember I said in the beginning of the broadcast on our very first game, I said there's very few opportunities you have at this level to be part of history, and this season, whether it was successful or not successful, was going to be a history-making season because it's the first time there's basketball here in 15 years. The fact that they're 10-1 at this point of the year, just it's icing on the cake.
Yeah, I'm gonna put Coach on the spot here. I want to get his true opinion. We kind of went with a fail-safe test this weekend on our new pregame introductions of the team, and I didn't get a chance to see it because I had to cover the public address this weekend. So I want to know, how did it look? How do you think it's going to work when we get back to night games?
I want you to know that the girls loved it, but not as much as they love Mary Beth Wickup on the national.
That was the first time you heard her, wasn't it?
No, I heard her at the soccer game.
Oh yes,
yes. This fall, but don't get me wrong, Rock. You did your thing with the lights, but you were a distant second to Mary Beth.
We should have done the thing with her.
Lord have mercy. That lady.
Maybe we get her back out here on the 18th. Wow. We'll do that.
I mean, it was moving.
I kid you not. The first time that I heard her sing was back in 2015 when we had the lacrosse national championship here. Wow. And when she sang, I'm no joke, and it's still almost to this point this day, I had tears running down my cheeks. I'm like, that is the most amazing rendition I've ever heard in my life.
Listen, I don't blame you, man, and I'm glad you used the word sang, because she sang it. She didn't sing it, she sang it.
Lord, and this was after, mind you, and I'm not sure if you saw it on the broadcast or not, but I'm announcing her, and I'm noticing she's nowhere to be found. So I'm like trying to draw things out. And here she comes running from the lobby. So she does a little, 100-yard dash, comes over, and then belts out that. The only thing that I'm mad about, I think we have to get a different microphone plugged in when we're doing pregame anytime she's going to sing, because these headset mics don't do her justice.
I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell.
Well, the Knights' next home game, Aaron, is coming up Wednesday, December 18th. Against the Chesapeake Skipjacks. That's going to be a 6 p.m. tip. That should be a good game as well. Then it's time for winter break. Our last podcast is going to be next week, but fear not, we are hard at work, the interns and I, editing parts 1 and 2 of the Best of the Kingdom podcast. We're going to take a look back at some of the best moments over our first 16 episodes, our holiday gift to you. Aaron, anything to add before we close it out today?
I just want to say thank you to Coach Mike for coming in and giving us our time and being honest with us.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, honesty not really a luxury that you are afforded in this business too often. So we do appreciate that. And I think, we definitely will be looking to have you on more often. And I don't know if that is a good or scary thing. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see. Hey, listen, this is one of my joys here, coming up here and talking to you guys. So just let me know when I can come back.
We appreciate it. That usually means he's going to ask me for something important later on.
Yeah, let me get the top 5. Next time I come back, I want a top 5.
You want a top 5? All right. Well, I think by then we can have our choice of top 5 moments in Knights women's basketball thus far this year.
Sounds good.
Folks, don't forget, subscribe to this YouTube channel you're watching us on right now, youtube.com/CCBC Essex Knights. You can also follow our streams, highlights, and, of course, this podcast. CCBCEssexKnights.com is where you find us on the web. At Knights_WB, that's where your Knights women's basketball team is on Twitter. You can find them on Instagram at CCBCEssex_WBB. And, of course, the athletics department, we are on Twitter and Instagram under the handle at CCBC Essex Sports. Thanks again to my co-host, Aaron Thomas, and, of course, to head coach Mike Seney. And thank you to you, the listeners. We appreciate you tuning in every week to take a listen to the Kingdom Podcast. Last but not least, we thank the Digital Media Department, Associated Applied Science Degree Program, and Coordinator Kendrick Kenney for this lovely studio that we're able to get into every week. We appreciate your help. Folks, we will see you or hear from you, and you will hear from us next week when we return. This has been episode number 20 of the Kingdom Podcast. We thank you. We'll see you next time. So long.